What's going on, guys? Gas Station here, bring you another podcast. This time, we're finally back talking about Revelations. It's been probably like almost a month now. Yeah, I kind of had this sort of desire to try to get as much work done as possible on my other projects, and I kind of just dipped on the whole Revelations podcast thing, but I figure now, since Megs and I have been playing Revelations, it's now time to share my thoughts on Revelations from chapters 18 to 22. I'm going to split this up into two because I don't want to do a single podcast of like 10 chapters or whatever, because that's just a lot of pressure on my internet, which is something I can't really handle. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to say thank you everybody who has been subscribed, who came from Mags' channel, who came from the from first seeing my stuff from the plot review. If you did see my first thing from the plot review and you stuck around, thank you so much. Let me know if you have, because that means a lot to me to see someone actually stick around and just watch more content. It's really nice to see, nice to watch. Inching closer to my big goal of 10,000 subscribers. I think that would be a huge milestone, given the amount of time this channel has been up and been taken seriously. Before I didn't really take the channel too seriously, and now the actual goal of 10,000 subscribers isn't even like super ambitious. Like, I know what I have to do. I'm hopefully going to be able to do it, and I'm excited. So thank you so much for everyone who's subscribing. Let's keep it up. But if that has to happen, I have to pump out content. So that's what we're here for. Anyway, let's get started on chapter 18. Veiled Kingdom is chapter 18. Okay. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys know how angry I was on my Twitter about 2 weeks ago when I talked about Scarlet kicking it. And I was furious. I was absolutely fucking livid. And I'll get to it, but like preview, I guess, I was so angry that they pulled that shit. Like, it just feels like they don't know what they're doing sometimes. It's just like, it's like I was at a point where I started to not really give a fuck about the story of Revelations. I was just like, hey, whatever. And then they killed off Scarlet, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, are you fucking serious right now? I just didn't know what to say. Like, I was just so mad. And I was thinking maybe she didn't actually die, because maybe they did this thing where she got hit really hard, but she didn't die yet because it was unconfirmed. But I didn't know how this whole fucking... They just shafted her character. They just disrespected her character altogether, and disrespected anyone who would enjoy the prospect of a playable character that wasn't a dedicated retainer. And they just... Oh god, I'm just so disappointed. Like, it's just so annoying. It's how they just disrespected that and just didn't think, hey, this might piss off everybody. I don't think there's anyone in the world who actually saw Scarlet's death and was like, you know what? That was a really good death. And they understood the story, like, completely, and they were, like, just okay and satisfied with that death. I was just like, no, how could you be satisfied with that? That's garbage. That is piss poor. That is the worst death, man, I've ever seen fucking ever. Jesus. God damn it. And it set up this really stupid Gunter thing that was like so telegraphed, and it was so poorly handled. I'll get to that when I get to like the part where in chapter 26. I'll get to that eventually, but Jesus Christ, man, that was brutal. Anyway, let's talk about the script first. So Ryoma and Xander are talking about the skies. They're changing, and it seems the time has come. What do we do now? And so then she's like, we have to and then Corin's like, we have to jump off the bridge. And it's whatever. And then Gunter starts... See, this is where it gets really obvious that Revelations just gives absolutely no shits. First, they like totally telegraph the notion of Gunter being a traitor, or Gunter not really being honest, because... like, he doesn't have support, so obviously something's gonna happen. Like the first time I saw that, I was like, well, this is suspicious. And then Gunter starts to get this odd screen time that has zero buildup at all. Like, the second Vala starts becoming important in the story, Gunter just gets the screen time. It's like, okay, like, you're really, really doing... You either don't give any shits, and you're just gonna just be like, hey, guess what? Here comes a twist. Or you actually suspected that someone would actually be surprised by a Gunter betrayal. Like, maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm just good at, like, calling shit. I don't know. I don't know how you could possibly not expect anything to happen with Gunter. Because he all of a sudden just gets this unnecessary screen time, like, out of nowhere. And it gets even more obvious when Sumeragi dies, and, like, Gunter's just fucking there. Like, Gunter has no business in that spot, but he's there. It's just like, yes, I get it. You're telegraphing, you're trying to foreshadow, you're doing a really bad job. So Gunter's just all of a sudden getting the screen time. And then they're talking about the curse. And then I understand why you ask, but I refuse. Likewise, but how can you possibly expect us to agree to that? But why? And then Scarlet's like, you big goofball. You have to order them to jump off the bridge, not ask nicely. What? And I was just like, what the like, what? I'm already getting mad, but man, I tried to sit on this for a long time and try to be like, maybe I shouldn't be as mad. But when I'm reading this script, I'm like, look, I really don't like it when when writing in games does this. I don't know how to explain it that well. When they do this thing where they write something out there and then you expect them to, like, how do I explain this? I'm not saying this right. I'll start over. When they write these things that just don't make sense. Like, you big goofball, you can't really figure out what your big brothers are telling you. They want you to order them to jump off the bridge, not ask nicely. How could anyone possibly understand what that means? Like, it's just, and Ryoma and Xander have this really weird, like, shared brain thing, and it's really jarring to me. Like, they both think the same things and complete each other's sentences, and the fact that the only semblance between them is that they're, like, these, like, older brothers who are very responsible. Xander way more than Ryoma, by the way, and they're both the crown princes of their respective kingdoms. I feel like that's really not enough to justify the fact that they can finish each other's sentences, they can think the same thing without even telling each other, and they can actually say the same thing at the same time in the most cheesy fucking ending CGI cutscene I've ever seen. Like, I honestly, as much as I hate Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn's cheesy as fuck, the only thing that makes the Radiant, like, the Tellius cutscenes kind of cheesy is that the voice acting's not good, but it's like, it's so bad it's good. I really like the Radiant Dawn cutscenes, because when I first saw it, I was like, wow. Like, I don't really mind voice acting in video games being bad. I mean, I do, but, like, when it comes to Fire Emblem, it's been such, like, a non-issue. Like, it's just been such a rare concept. It's only been introduced from FE9 to 10 to 13 and 14. So it's like, yeah, the voice acting is great for 13 and 14, obviously. And I'm in the camp that I think the voice acting is fine. For a video game, I feel like if you find the voice acting in Fates that, like, really bad or shitty or whatever, I'm just like, I mean, you're playing a video game, right? Like, there's obviously going to be a standard, but, like, this is the same game that pumped out Tellius, right? So it's like, in that sense, voice acting, you know, I don't really dwell on the voice acting being bad or good, but what I do dwell on is in the ending, I'm just going to say this one more time, in the ending cutscene in the game, it's like they say that, like, we're here for you or we serve you. It's just like, shut the fuck up. Like, no one says this. No, it felt so formulated and cheesy. It was like, good God, come on. This is brutal. This is so stupid. And it's just such cheesy writing. Like, you big goofball, you can't really figure out. And like, what? No, how? I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? Just fucking do it. I just not ask nicely. Like, how did Scarlet even catch that? God, I'm just so bothered by this. Anyway, so they hurry. And then Scarlet pulls out this dumb fucking flower, and she's just in this cutscene with Corin. I'm like, oh wow, Scarlet's getting, like, a lot of screen time, and it's just like, wow, Scarlet actually seems like a secondary main character or something, or a secondary character. And then it's just a really stupid setup to have her die, and it's just like, there are like deaths that make you angry because you are emotionally invested in those characters, and they're written in a way where it's a tragic death. But this isn't the same thing. It's like they just shafted her because it really just came off super random, super unnecessary, and it's just like, oh, she's dead. Oh, here, give her some more screen time before she dies. And it's just like, why would you do that? Like, I'm not angry because I'm like emotionally hurt. I'm angry because there's a difference here. I'm super frustrated by the stupid writing decisions they made. Like, I guess if you wanted to trigger emotions, you got it, but it's fucking frustration and disappointment rather than actual like empathy and being like, wow, that was a good death scene. It's fucking stupid. God. I'll try to give a rational reasoning why I think it's stupid, because I don't want to just be like, oh, this is stupid, this is really dumb, and just not give a justification for it. But, well, I guess I can try. See, well, I already explained it. Like, she just got shafted, and it's just, I'll write it down, maybe I'll post about it or something. I just fucking can't even put words in how annoying it is when she fucking dies. God damn it. Yeah, she dies, and then the guys appear, and there's the dragon veins, and then we're fighting the mystery person, and it's Azura's mom. What's her name? Arit? Yeah, Arit. So they disappear, and then they reveal that Scarlet died, and then Ryoma's like, I can't believe this, how could this happen? The flower she pinned on, it's burned away. The flower is a plot thing in the later thing. And then Ryoma just takes the death and just is a grown-up about it, I guess, so it's good. It's not like they dwell on it for too long, because we don't have time to dwell on things, the sky is falling or whatever. So another thing I don't like about the plot is the sky thing, which is another clearly just only exists to progress the plot, gives the characters an excuse to rush things, and it has absolutely no relevance in Chapter 18. They completely forget about it afterwards because, hey, we're already in Vala, and we can go back whenever we want, and it's just like, you can tell that this story, like, it was standing on like stilts, and like they just had to patch it up with these plot conveniences that would only just keep it going and keep it up and push it. And I really think that they just knew about these really stupid plot devices, but they gave no shits. Like, they gave absolutely no fucks. Like, I feel like they're competent enough to write a good story. I really think they are. But they just don't give a fuck. That's the thing. They just don't give a shit. Like, they don't care. Like, they write these plot devices, and these plot conveniences just to progress the story because they don't have time to think about it. They just want to shit this shit out and they don't care. They just don't care. Like, they just absolutely have no fucks to give. And they just, like, shoot out these plot devices that only matter until they don't, and they don't even care if you dwell on it. They just don't care. Like, this is the mode to play online. This is the online mode. Who cares about the story? This is what they were thinking, is what I think. They actually knew what they were doing, and they just didn't care. They honestly just didn't care, and yeah, they hired their fucking manga guy, but they probably just did that so they didn't have to fucking work on it, right? They probably just hired some manga writing guy or whatever. I don't know the story, but some manga writing guy, and they were like, you know what, guy? We're going to focus on our own shit. We got our own, like, 30 billion goddamn teams to work on this game. Do something about the story. I don't care. Just give me something I can work with. And that's what they did. Ta-da, here's Revelations. Here's Conquest. Here's Birthright. God, so brutal. Anyway, so yeah, the story is fucking so mediocre, man. It's like chapters, what is it, 6? That shit is just garbo, and it gets worse, obviously, but I mean, it doesn't really move at all. So stupid. Anyway, the gameplay. So this so Veiled Kingdom is the one with like the monoliths, monoliths, with the dragon veins, with the big statue in the middle. I didn't mind this chapter. I think my team was pretty good for it. I had lots of I had a good amount of dragon vein users. Ryoma and Xander paired up, and they just trashed the. I actually tried to get creative with my kits for my units. And who got what and who ended up being what. It was just a chill chapter, man. Like, there was just nothing really expected. It was kind of very corridory, which is like ironic because you're on floating islands and you'd expect there to be more space, but there isn't. And that's an issue I have with the design of Revelation, and how I personally don't enjoy it. And my issue is that a lot of the maps in Revelations are really tight, like really close quarters. And it doesn't really leave a lot to the imagination past certain strategies, because you're in a lot of corridors a lot of the time, and you're doing a lot of waiting is one of my bigger issues, that you're doing a lot of waiting in Revelations. You're waiting for platforms, you're waiting for this, you're waiting to get carried over. It's like at the expense of freedom to move and freedom to be creative, as much as you would usually have in Fire Emblem, you're forced to kind of experience these chapters as sort of like bystanders in some cases. Like, the map is sort of playing itself, and I like the concept of maps playing out a certain way and events turning turn by turn, or area events, the map sort of changing as you progress through the map, with map changes, with map gimmicks, stuff like that. But when it's so scripted and like formulated by these platforms and by, these, you're being forced to backtrack a lot of the time, it's like, it's sort of, well, no, it is boring. It is boring. But this chapter isn't as bad. I actually kind of enjoyed this chapter. It was creative. It was a nice, refreshing take on the out of Hoshido and Nor, whatever the fuck that's called. And when you're here, you're kind of experiencing the whole vibe of it. I also like the environment they're sort of setting up. The music is fitting enough. It's good introductory music to Vala. It's very vibey and chill, though I think it's a little too chill. It's not very. It's not really. It's like we're getting attacked by invisible people and we're listening to this really chill music. So I'm kind of torn between the two. How very lackadaisical it is. And that's sort of another issue I have. I'm just shitting all over this. Wow, what? How long have we been here? And I'm just on 18 minutes of, and most of which is just me like very harshly shitting on this chapter. But I know it comes off as really nitpicky, but like, this is shit that I think about when I'm playing chapters and stuff. But I mean, it's like immersion wise, obviously they put a lot of effort into it. Gameplay wise, this chapter, it was okay for me. I don't like the backtracking, but I like the thought that they put into having two dragon veins on the middle left and middle right, so you can just get back there easily. Oh, was that the case? Yeah, you can warp back. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't an awful chapter. Yeah, I just had a good team for it, I just sort of tried to focus on being bulky, and I had Xander and Benny they were doing pretty well. I had Camilla as a berserker at this point, and she was just tearing up. And, yeah, I was just having fun. Ryoma was a dread fighter. I made him a dread fighter because I just didn't really care anymore. And he was just destroying. Oh my god, he was just ridiculous. He ended up getting aggressor too, and then I made him back to a swordmaster. He got swordfair, and then he was just dealing like legitimately 50 damage, and it was just out of control. Like, it was crazy. So yeah, that was that chapter. It was okay. Wasn't anything. It was, it was probably one of my more favorite chapters just because of the environment and that kind of stuff. Anyway, let's go to chapter 19, Hidden Strings. Ooh. Wow, I kind of forget this. Oh, this chapter. I love this chapter, actually. I really enjoyed this one. Another sort of glimpse of Fate's genius here, covered in like the shit stains. For like, yeah, I liked this chapter. I think story-wise, it doesn't really move anywhere. Here's where they meet Anthony. So they're actually revealing stuff about, Anankos. It's hard to believe, but Vala was once a mighty peaceful kingdom. It was quite friendly with the other kingdoms of the world. In fact, it wasn't unusual for royalty from Nora and Hoshito to visit. What? I've never heard of Vala. You're saying that my father and King Garen were aware of this land. Of course, the Hoshidan Throne of Truth was a gift from the Valite King, but the silent dragon Anankos seized power, this land was changed. Azura, how is it that you know so much about this kingdom? I suppose I should explain to Malcolm with me. I don't like this Throne of Truth at all. I don't like this curse. I don't like... Look, I find it very hard to believe that nobody in the history ever has tried to speak the truth of Vala and has had people see it and they fucking vanished in thin air. And I don't believe in all this time, however long the curse existed, that this happened. I don't know. I'll have to reread this, but apparently like Arit tried to tell Azura, and then she was just the only one watching. I feel like if you really gave a shit, then you would show a lot of people at the expense of your life. Like, fucking, I don't know. Like, it just seems like this plot curse is, another one of those things where it's just, hey, without this plot curse, I mean, everyone would already know about Vala, and, Anankos wouldn't need to be so secretive about it because we just suspect this shit already. So it feels like this curse is just there with just to progress the story, if that makes any sense. The Throne of Truth is just another thing. It's like, I guess Anankos just doesn't give a shit because Garen apparently doesn't know about this Throne of Truth, even though he's a slime monster. He's technically a Valite drone for Anankos, and since Anankos has unlimited foresight and knowledge, you'd think he'd fucking know that the throne would, turn him into goo, unless he knew that and he just wanted it to happen so he can just get rid of the royals anyway, and then Takumi, as another backup plan, which I guess makes sense now that I think about it. So this statue, recognized it right? Yes, it looks identical to the one that Father worships. This is the statue of the silent dragon Anankos. Each of the kingdoms has a dragon associated with it. Hoshido has the dawn dragon, Nora has a dust dragon, Vala has Anankos. He was gifted with the unlimited knowledge and foresight. He was also the dragon that gave his blood to the ancient Valites. But then why would Father worship him rather than the dust dragon? I'm sorry I didn't want to tell you. It is doubtful that there's anything left to the true King Garen. Anankos has the ability to possess people and control the bodies of the dead. His presence, even in short periods of time, is very corrupting. Anankos' magic is likely all that kept King Garen alive at this point. He is nothing more than a servant. Anankos is using King Garen as a puppet to create wars and destroy the world. That's not, I don't want to believe it. So here they kind of reveal Anankos' whole plan, and you kind of read into it, and you kind of understand why Takumi was in Conquest and what happened to him, and how Garen was, kind of fooled, quote-unquote fooled, into sitting on the throne. Stuff like that. Anankos saw them conquering the throne. He used Garen as a puppet from complete beginning to end, and then Garen and Takumi were his tickets to kill the guys, Corrin and them. But it is unfortunate that they all have plot armor. He wants to destroy the two strongest rivals to Vala, Hoshido and Nor. With them ruined, he can conquer the other kingdoms with little resistance. Some of you have already encountered invisible enemies outside Vala. Servants to Anankos with his magic, he's able to send them to Vala to other places. He uses them to make Hoshido and Nor believe they were attacking each other. And that caused us to launch real attacks against one another in retaliation, exactly what happened in Sarkensia. So for us to save the world, we have to defeat the Silent Dragon. Yeah, that's our ultimate goal. I have only one question, Azura. Since you know so much about these servants, who are you? I'm the princess. Yes, though there is no longer a royal family to belong to, Anankos killed my father and then turned himself loose on Vala, devastating it. My mother took me and fled. Everything I have told you about Vala, I learned from my mother during our exile. Okay. So this land had a curse placed on it. Yes, that's why we couldn't explain things until we got here. Okay, so this is what I sort of don't really understand. So this land has had a curse placed on it. Was that by Anankos or was that by just in general? Because it doesn't really sound like Anankos before he went crazy. Wait, did he say he went nuts? Did he go nuts? I thought he went crazy. Oh yeah, he's just an asshole. He just wants to conquer them for some reason. Anankos killed my father and then turned himself loose on Vala, devastating it. My mother took me and fled. Everything I have told you about Vala, I learned from my mother during our exile. Yeah, so this is what I either don't get. If Vala has had a curse on it since forever, kind of curious as to why they would have a curse in the first place. If they're at peace with one another, it seems like they want to visit here and there. I don't know why Vala wouldn't want anything to do with the other countries. Beats me. But if the curse was placed by Anankos, how does no one know about Vala yet? Like, what? Can anyone clarify this for me? Like, why would you place a curse on two peaceful things? Like, you want to stay anonymous to everybody? Sure, I guess. But you just want to stay in touch with royals? Sure, fine. You know what? Take your plot curse. What the fuck ever. And then a villager comes, Anthony. Thank you for saving me. My name is Anthony. I used to serve as a page to the ruler of Vala. So Anthony, I'm just not going to read this. He basically tries to bait them over. And they have to go to the Gijis castle to fight Anthony. So the chapter is the same chapter as the chapter 15 in Conquest. And I actually really enjoyed this chapter much more than I did before. The reason I enjoy this chapter more is that I feel like you have way more flexibility in your units. The time constraint really feels like it matters more. I don't remember in Conquest being actually like checking. In the Revelations version, I actually kept checking the turn count. I kept checking the turn count to see where it was till turn 20. But in Conquest, I didn't really feel like I needed to. Maybe like one or two times. I think I benched Azura this time because you're just not really that useful in this chapter, which is too bad. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the chapter. I didn't really have anything wrong with it. It was a really solid like route or defeat boss chapter. There wasn't a lot of gimmicks there. I consider the replica thing a gimmick, yeah. But in this chapter, it felt like it was just more units, and it was just not really egregious at all, and it was kind of fun using Replicate. I know people use Replicate all the time in battles and stuff. I'm still waking up. I woke up and immediately got on the computer. But yeah, the difference between this and the gift fiasco in chapter 10 is that you have to earn these drops, which is definitely a way better feeling. You have to earn these gains rather than just, fighting really shitty enemies. It's like now it's like strong enemies. You have to think about your strategy. There's different ways to go about it. You can tank here and there. You can go on the offensive and try to rush. You can try to take your time and deal with the enemies coming up and, figure out how you want to approach the reinforcements that are coming consistently. And I really, really liked how they worked with reinforcements in this chapter. They were mounted. They came periodically, and they added that extra layer of pressure. And I really think they really worked reinforcements well in this chapter. They just added extra pressure onto you, rather than in other chapters where they just ended up being reinforced in places that you didn't really matter, that didn't add anything to the chapter. In this chapter, it felt like it was just extra punches getting at you over and over and over, and I really enjoyed that. of this chapter. It was really nice. This chapter had everything I really wanted. It was pretty basic, pretty standard, aside from the replica thing, which, as I said, I don't really mind. It was pretty fun, man. I liked how the first part was the easy, and then like your replicants are the ones who are really feeling the heat. And the shared experience thing is interesting too. I really enjoyed this chapter, yeah. And if honestly, like, I didn't really use any of the. I think the only thing I used was the heart seal, the friendship seal, and the gold. Aside from that, yeah, the other stuff was decent, I guess. I guess this is something else. They give you the heart seal, the friendship seal, and all the gold. Maybe they were sort of like assuring that if you were really into, reclassing and trying to use all your options, they gave you a lot of funds to, work with those, your interest in reclassing and heart seals and friendship seals and, switching up your loadout with your units. So if that, in that perspective, I can see why they gave a lot of gold at this point, because it's the mid to late game. They want to prepare you for anything else that is to come. And at this point, you should be familiar with how to manage your money if you want to go that route of switching up your setups with your units. So it was cool. It was a nice way to see this chapter to its fullest, for lack of a better term. Story-wise, it's just, Anankos is a douche, and this kid Anthony's going to help us out. I like probably one of my favorite chapters, to be honest. Seeds of Doubt. This is the Kinshinite boss. This is the... Oh, fuck. Is this the one where you fight Scarlet again? It totally is, isn't it? No, this is the bridge one. This is another sort of bridge chapter. So Anthony is like, hey, we have to get there. They're like, hang on. Takumi almost falls and dies. That was kind of funny. And then Xander gets really suspicious about Anthony, and given the track record of this story and Fates in general, how they abuse the traitor plot thing over and over and over, Anthony obviously betrays you down the line. They make it really, really obvious. It's like they're treating the story like they're telling it to kids, and they have to like show Anthony obviously showing signs of ill intent by literally showing him signs of ill intent by him saying it. And it's like, this game doesn't really feel like it's marketed toward children, so why are you treating us like children? That's what I don't like about this story. It's like, they treat us like kids, they telegraph everything. It's really, to me, I'm insulted that they telegraph so much shit, and it's like, I am not fucking 16, dude. Whew. I just really don't like the telegraphiness of this story. So, nothing really happens. Corrin's naivete superpower, which is literally a superpower at this point, really starts to show its colors. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the chapter itself. I really don't remember much about this chapter. I really, in hindsight, should have probably did these podcasts closer to when I actually beat them. Let me try to paint a picture here. I'm gonna be right back, actually, try to get some food, maybe that'll help. Anyway, I'm back, had some food, tried to get my head together. So, the gameplay of Seeds of Doubt. The shifting bridges was interesting. I liked how you can manipulate them and bring them... you can place units there and you can shift them over for extra movement. I like that idea. I don't remember this map being particularly annoying. I think I might have died a few times because I tried to split my path, or I tried to split ways, and then I was like, you know what, fuck it, this is Fates. Splitting your armies is a death wish, so I pair them all up in one spot, and I kept going to the left. I pushed left, and it was just pretty standard. I think, the gimmick was good. I don't remember hating it, so that's a good thing. I don't think I really minded this chapter that much. Yeah, nothing's really coming to mind that if something really bothered me, I'd remember it, but I don't really think, I think it was pretty fine. I'm really trying hard to think here. What were the chests? Maybe that would help. Yeah, this map wasn't particularly hard. It was just sort of, plain, The gimmick was pretty nice. It didn't really do much damage, and it was kind of useful. It actually was pretty useful. Yeah, sorry, I'm just drawing blanks here. Tell me what you guys thought of Chapter 20, because I obviously don't really have anything interesting to say. So maybe the commenters can read what your experience was with Seeds of Doubt. Speaking of soundtracks, god damn it, I do not like Fates at all. I've been trying to get into it for so many times. So, the script for Seeds of Doubt. Anthony's talking about the island. Oh, we already talked about this, didn't we? Yeah, then he trips, and yeah, it's really suspicious. Fuck, man, get your head in the game, Keegan. What is the next one? Chapter 22, and then... 21 and 22. We can end it there. Let's talk about going forward. Anthony and Corin go to the gate. They go together to try to open up the gate for everyone else, to unlock the front gate to the castle, which is guarded heavily by enemies. And then... So, Corin basically trusts... She uses her trusting superpower to trust Anthony, but she also has a backup plan, thankfully. Betrays Corin, obviously. This gimmick is really weird. So at the end of the chapter, Avatar is like, I'm sorry everyone for believing in you. And then it's like, no, it's okay, Corin. You need to keep on believing in people. Anything bad that comes of it, you can count on us to handle. So pretty much... Corin's superpower becomes realized, and that she has the ability to believe in everything and everyone, and even if he fucks up, his family is there behind him. So his superpower of believing in people is actually fully thing. Like, oh my god. Oh, so annoying. So annoying. This just doesn't gel with me at all. This character does not gel with me whatsoever, but whatever. So this map sucked for me. I really thought this map was stupid. Like, the gimmick is so dumb. I mean, at least you got boots, which is good, and you got the Orgel mirror, which is good. And I didn't really use a lot of ninjas. I think at this point I might have turned Ryoma back. No, I didn't turn Ryoma back into a Dreadfighter yet. But yeah, dude. Oh god, this map. The gimmick felt like it didn't matter. When they turned into unpromoted units, I didn't care. I just killed everyone anyway. That's all I thought about. The stairs were hard to see. Like, it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just average, right? Like, the gimmick kind of was nothing. It was just giant square rooms. Like, without the gimmick, it's just a bunch of square rooms, and it's like... not particularly interesting to look at, obviously, because it's like a checkerboard. Maybe someone else used the dragon veins themselves, but for me it was just like the map wasn't really nice to look at all. Aesthetically it was kind of shitty. It kind of was ugly. The stairs were hard to see. They tricked me a few times, and it was just a normal, defeat boss. It was a very normal, mediocre chapter. Nothing special whatsoever. So it just passed. It was like, whatever. Yeah, so the quality wasn't that great, but it didn't throw out bullshit at you, which is, I guess, good. It was just super average. Nothing really much to say. I don't think there's anything you really can say. Anthony sucked. Just straight up was garbage. He got destroyed. And that was that. That was a quick chapter. And yeah, the story is there's nothing happening right now. It's literally just get to the castle and fight the dragon. That's it. And the rest of the chapters are just this happens next. This happens. It has no actual bearing for anything else but this. It's like, okay. Anyway, that was my little spiel on going forward. Anyway, memories. The last chapter we'll talk about for this podcast. How long have we been recording for? Almost not even an hour yet. This should be a pretty quick podcast. Okay. Anthony betrays the Avatar. His ambush was a failure. However, the party emerges from the ruins into an ominous forest. Ooh. Wait, so was Castle Gigas like a fake forest? Or was it a fake castle? Oh, wait, did they think that Castle Gigas was the actual castle and it was just ruins? Is that what's happening here? That's kind of silly. Shouldn't Azura like know what the castle looks like? Oh, yeah. It totally was ruins from the looks of it. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but wow, that's kind of stupid how Azura just doesn't know that this is the actual castle. Kind of stupid. I mean, she was the princess, right? Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Anyway, so let's see. This forest chapter, it wasn't terrible. And it was another standard thing. You know, the dragon veins, opened up the paths. The dragon vein was kind of cool in this chapter. It was kind of free. You don't need to use the dragon veins to beat the chapter, which was nice. I like how it gives you an option. Yeah, I don't find the dragon vein was that bad in this chapter now that I'm thinking on it. Reed is Revelations has really weak bosses. Like, the bosses suck in Revelations. Even in Lunatic, it's really disappointing how bad they are. The bosses in Revelations are so shit. They're not that great, man. They're really weak. Oh, someone pick that up. Come on, Dad. Pick that up. Pick that up. Pick it up. Somebody pick it up. I don't really want to. Nice. Okay. Yeah, it was really standard. I have nothing really much to say. Splitting your armies was nice. Oh, you know what? Actually, maybe this is a better chapter because I actually did split my armies, and it was good. It was nice to be able to, be more flexible with your strategy. Maybe in hindsight, I did actually enjoy this chapter. Yeah. I feel like the reinforcements were decent. I think they were in places where you would be at the time. I think there were area events. You can split your armies. You could explore the map with the treasure, and you can burn down the thing, and you have to be worried about master ninjas and mechanists. So Aerith reveals herself as Azura's mom, and she's a servant of an Ankos. So they reveal that an Ankos has the power to basically reanimate the people who've fallen, I guess, by him, who've died by him or something. And then they fight and she's possessed. And then Mother, Aerith gave no indication that she should spare us. Had she won the battle, it's sad. So Ryuma's right, that wasn't your mom. So then it goes into this, sad Azura thing. Yeah, and it's just... That's all it is. Another issue, I'll talk about this later because Aerith's death is until 2 chapters later, I think. But many of the deaths feel rushed, and I can't feel anything for a lot of the deaths because there's no real build-up and there's no tension. It's all very quick, and it's like I don't really have time to empathize. 3DS has a really hard time dealing with death because the death scenes for Aerith and Sumeragi were nice. They were nice written scenes. It was a nice scene, but it didn't really get past that chapter. Like, I don't know Aerith at all. I don't know Sumeragi at all. So when they die, it's like, yeah, I guess I understand that they would be sad, but it doesn't affect me as a player that much. And I don't like it. I don't like that. Those kind of deaths where there's no tension there. There's no build up. There's no investment. And if I'm not emotionally invested in the death, and if it's written sad, if it's written well, I remember it being written pretty well. I'll read the script when I get there. But for me, I can't really feel anything past, oh, that was a sad scene. I mean, I bought it, yeah, I just didn't really care. I mean, that was it, I guess. For lack of a better term, I just didn't care. I was like, okay, she's died. Big deal. I don't care. It's just on the way to the thing. Everyone's going to die because it's fates. And they're like, hey, guess what? You don't want people, no one died in fucking Awakening? Well, here you go. Everyone dies now. Yeah, it was just unimpressive deaths, you know? They were just sad because they were objectively sad. When you lose your family, people are gonna be sad about it, and that's what happened. Like, okay, congratulations, you can write a sad scene. Well, now just make me actually give a shit. Yeah, that was chapter 22. I think I'm gonna end here. Sorry if this analysis wasn't really in depth as you'd like it to be. It's been a long time since I played these chapters. I apologize. It's pretty much my fault, but you know, time is finite, so I wanted to get that plot review out, and I neglected to do these with these podcasts. I'm hoping that my playthrough with Nangs will refreshes my memory. And tell me what you think of the chapters of these series of chapters. Maybe you guys can go, chapter 18, story, gameplay. Thing in your opinion, because I mean, it's like I don't really have I have strong opinions, obviously, but like it's at this point where like I don't really remember that much. So tell me, guys. So if you guys aren't really satisfied with my take, let me hear what you guys think of these chapters if you'd like. If you don't, it's no problem. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm Gast, and I'll catch you guys next time. See you later.